Did I ever tell you that I have won over $1 million playing online poker? I'm actually not making this up. This is actually true. Play money. Not real money. But I don't think that diminishes my accomplishment. And if our building project ever wants play money, then I am your guy. Anyway, but about 10 years ago, Texas Holdem, the game Texas Holdem, became quite popular. It was on television, and it still is, but it was a little bit more prominent on television. A lot of local pubs would offer, free tournaments. And I, like many people, started to play online poker. Never with real money, but I would play these online poker tournaments. And I took it quite seriously. And so I would read books on poker theory. I studied the science behind the most common poker tells. And Alicia and I, every Monday night, we would go down to our local pub and partake in kind of a play money poker tournament. And I actually got fairly good at the game. And yes, my play money winnings ended up over $1 million. But here's the thing. I am not someone that gets angry very easily. I am not someone who has visceral reactions to frustrations. I'm someone generally that tries to keep things on a very calm basis. But with poker, there is something about that game that gets under my skin. And it kind of makes things boil. When I would win, it was like nothing wrong could happen in my life. Everything was great. But when I lost, when things went wrong, when I took a bad flop or when I had a bad beat, then I would almost physically feel the negativity just consume me. And it would poison my day, and it would poison the way that I interacted with people. And the more I played, the more I saw that this frustration would happen quicker and more often. I loved to play free online poker. And I'm good at playing free online poker. But it seems to have a negative effect on me. So I had to stop playing. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I was going through looking at iPad apps, and I saw there was an app for online poker. And so I thought, I haven't played it for about 6 years. Let me install it, and I started playing. Started having great fun again. But 3 days into it, I saw the same dynamic starting to occur. The negativity starting happening. Today, we're talking about fasting. Fasting isn't just about refusing to eat our favorite food or drink our favorite drinks. It's not a more spiritual way to go on a diet or to reduce our TV time. It is a spiritual discipline, which at its heart is about filling our lives with the things of God, growing deeper in our relationship with God, and cutting out of our lives things that take us away from God. That's what our reading from Isaiah speaks of today. And so I want to invite you to pick up your pew Bibles and turn to Isaiah chapter 58. Throughout the course of this Lenten season, we're going to be looking at some spiritual disciplines and practices that help move us closer to God. On Ash Wednesday, we looked a little bit at the act of confession and how that can bring healing into our lives. Today we're looking at fasting. There's a schedule up in the narthex. You can look at that. But one of the biggest disciplines that we can engage in is fasting. A fasting is a period of time by which we go without something. It doesn't always have to be food, but mostly that's what we think of. We go without it in order to connect with God on a deeper level. One of the important things is that fasting is an internal discipline. It's not an external one. You can engage in an external physical fast by which we do without our favorite treat or TV or Facebook or whatever it is. You can engage in all that outward physical stuff without ever connecting to an internal discipline, an internal connection with God. And in fact, that's what Israel was doing. And so our reading begins by God kind of quoting Israel as they issue a complaint against him. "Why have we fasted," they say, "and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves and you have not noticed?" Israel is complaining that God isn't responding to them, even though they were engaging in all the physical action of fasting on the certain days when it was required. And they were. When their religious rules said you need to fast on this day, they were fasting with a twist. Although Israel was going through the outward actions of fasting, they were making it easier on themselves by taking the day off of their regular duties and making other people, their workers, do things for them. It would be like me saying, "I'm going to do a fast, and so I'm not coming to work today, so Larry, you need to meet with these people and go visit at the hospital, and you need to write the sermon, and you need to do this, and I can't do it because I'm doing a fast." In reality, all I'm doing is just sitting at home, doing nothing. That's what Israel was doing. They were taking the day off of their regular duties and making other people, making their workers, exploiting the other people to do things for them under the guise of, "I'm being so spiritual, I'm doing a fast, I can't do this." While it had the outward action, it denied the inward discipline. And so God says to them, "You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high." It's common for us to give up something during the season of Lent. And you may have decided on something that you're going to give up. You may have a standard item, something that you give up every single year. The question that you need to ask yourself is, what's the point? Is it so you can just say that you've given up something? Is it so you can say that you have humbled yourself on the appropriate time? Or is giving that up an avenue for you to get connected with God on a deeper level? When you willingly refrain from something, is it so that you can more purposefully enter into a time of prayer and meditation, Bible reading, or reflection? Because while fasting may involve a decrease in the occurrence of chocolate or potato chips or television in our lives, so too fasting must also involve an increase in prayer, in meditation, and connection with God. Right? There's the two individual things. A decrease in something so that prayer and Bible reading and connection with God can be increased. Fasting is also about increasing our connection with God. St. Augustine wrote, "In their fasting, therefore, let one rejoice inwardly in the fact that by this fasting they are turning away from the pleasures of the world to make themselves subject to Christ." Giving up food for a period of time is for the purpose of celebrating our nourishment that comes from God, to reflect on God's providence for us, to immerse ourselves in the truth that we don't live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. If we choose to give up an activity, the point is not simply to refrain from the action, but to fill the time that would be naturally filled with that action with prayer or with Bible reading. So the time that you would spend normally watching television, you now spend in silent reflection or in worship. Think about what you've given up. Or maybe better yet, think about what you need to give up. Is there something, like online poker, that leads you down dangerous spiritual pathways? Something that muddies your dependence on God and your enjoyment of God's blessings. Something that, while it might be okay and you might like it and you might be good at it, just tarnishes your spiritual lives. Is there something that dampens your ability